All right, first, thank you for coming. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
So tell me what it was like growing up in Lakewood, Ohio.
I actually grew up in Twinsburg, Ohio, which is like pretty much south of Cleveland. But when I went to high school in Lakewood, I went to a private school, so my mom ended up getting a job out there, and so later in my high school career, we moved down there. So, but I've been there for about probably like 10 years now. So actually, maybe just about like 6 years. I'm tripping. But it's fun. It's like honestly, it's the best city as far like people early 20s and stuff like that. So it's been fun. It's safe, so can't complain.
I feel it. Tell me about your family. Like, tell me about your dad, your parents.
Yeah. So I got an older brother. He's 25. And two sisters, both older, so I'm the youngest one. Just both parents are from Cleveland, so we lived in Cleveland our entire lives. So I mean, it's real home for us. Like, no one's really been out, but it's just pretty much it. I mean, they both my parents supported me and my brother in anything that we did growing up. As far as like sports, academics, they're both my parents are in education, so academics was huge, especially growing up for us. So it's I wouldn't say just a strict, I guess, household, but definitely one who pushed us as far as like I said, athletics and academics, and supported us in anything we wanted to do. So I mean, as far as like taking off of work to drop us off at practice, getting us the newest shoes out, or for me, for track, it was like if I always wanted like a gold or in a black pair, or a white and a black pair, to where it's like my parents would do anything that they could, work extra, work another job or whatever, just to make sure we were straight and make sure we were happy. So they just supported us. They're the backbone, but been good.
That was perfect. You said for track?
Yeah.
True. Can you explain what's going on in this photo?
So that was like probably like my 7th year AAU track, and that's like at the end of it, it's just basically like an MVP award. And so this is the junior Olympics. I did junior Olympics since I was like seven to like 12 or 13, right before high school football. I had to stop because that's when like summer camps and all that, fall camp and all that stuff started. So this was like my last year going, and I ended up I forget the name of the award, but it was like just like basically like the MVP of the meet. And it was exciting. It was dope.
That's funny.
I haven't seen that picture in a long time.
How was your experience at St. Edward's High School?
It was good. I mean, it's sort of, I feel like I give it credit for me choosing Notre Dame at the end of the day. Like honestly, in the city of Cleveland, like the schools, like the private schools, are usually the best as far as like football specifically. So at that time, they had just came off like a state championship, and I had some friends that I grew up running track with actually, who already went there. So and the academics are some of the best in the city. So it was kind of a no-brainer for me, because the city, Twinsburg, that I lived in, the sports wasn't, I guess, up to the standard that I wanted. And so, I mean, I also looked at like St. V, where like LeBron's from, and I also had like friends from that area, so I looked at that school, but landed on St. Ed's just because, I mean, I think everything happened like I like envisioned actually. So I knew we had some guys that I ran track with back in the day. They went there, and so when I came in as a freshman, sophomore, we ended up winning states while they were there. So I was just like, okay, I know we're gonna for sure have a great track team. So went there, did that, and then football, it was just the class that came in with me. I want to say we had like 8 or 9 Division I guys just from my class in football.
Jeez.
So, which I didn't even know, honestly. It was just like St. Ed's was like the powerhouse in football at that time, so and still is. They just won states this past year, but It was like everybody was just going there, and it was good because, like, I mean, on the field and on the track, we were all pushed, we were all like motivated by each other, which was, so we had that type of bond there. And then it was all guys, which is like, I know a lot of people like
That's tough.
like look at that look at that funny, but it was just like chilling with your homies like during the day in class, you know.
Okay. Can you tell me about Mr. Bratton?
Bro, man. Do you know Mr. Bratton? That's actually wild. He was like my maybe 11th and 12th grade math teacher. He was a basketball coach too at St. Ed's. Real deep voice, you talk like this, but he was a cool dude. I mean, classes were straight. He was I know my my multiplication, division, and addition and subtraction because of him. So
that helps.
That's
life skills.
Yeah, but nah, he was cool.
That's all I wanted to know about him.
You know him?
Hell no.
How'd you find him?
I had to just do my research,
Yeah.
man. So obviously, in high school, you were like a football star. You had offers to Wisconsin, Ohio State, Florida State, all of them, etc. Why did you choose Notre Dame?
Yeah, just going back to, I guess, talking about St. Ed's, it was just like a brotherhood, honestly. You got that Catholic feel. We actually have our own like mini Golden Dome at St. Ed's too. So when I took it, I was committed to Michigan, and then I took I did like a weekend trip, and I was like, all right, like I'm gonna decide like where I'm gonna go after this trip. So on Friday I went to Michigan. It was great. Like I was already committed there, so it was like I've been there before and stuff like that. Then I went to Notre Dame that following day, and it was just like it was a different feeling. I mean, just from the campus to the football environment, the coaches, the players were welcoming, all that type of stuff. And the program was on a up to where it's like this was like right when Michigan was on a they were like getting rid of Brady Hoke, so it was like right when Harbaugh was getting hired. Was like the end of my senior year. So like I really never got to see like somewhat like another school that had my like my eyes, like, so it was just like, dang, like the academics is great. You know, my parents were like, you know, Michigan and Notre Dame, both great academic schools, so it was kind of down between those, but it all made sense. And then it actually, like, at the end of the day, turned out to be the best decision ever.
I feel that. I don't even know if I'll use this for the interview, but you only went on that one trip to Notre Dame?
I went on one. Yeah, I think that was my first trip to Notre Dame. And then I was just like taken away by it.
Yeah.
And I was just like it was, and like I feel like I was at Notre Dame, and like I knew it was like, okay, like I'm thinking about how I got to tell Michigan like I'm not coming anymore.
Yeah. Who hosted you?
On that trip, it was like an unofficial, so I didn't do anything. But when I came on my official visit, it was Cole Luke and Isaac Rochelle. So two dudes that I'm still cool with to this day, which is dope. Yeah.
Nice. How was your experience at Notre Dame?
Early, it was, I would say, challenging just because as far as football, because I got injured my first 2 years, season ending, ACL and then Achilles. And so my first 2 years as far as like sports and stuff wasn't obviously how I wanted to be, and it wasn't as fun as I wanted it to be. And that probably kind of like lingered into just, I guess, my school life, just because I didn't go out as much. I was great at video games though. Like I'm talking about, didn't buy any VC, working my guy all the way up to like a 98 on 2K and everything. Like I was like that committed to where it was like I went to practice, went to rehab, and went home and then played video games. So that was like my first couple years at Notre Dame. And then like my junior year I was healthy, and so like everything was good, and then I just started to go out more, start to meet new people. But that's probably how it went. It was just like pretty much just to myself, my earlier in my career, and then it's just like as I gotten older and like obviously just happier the way football was going and things like that, it just made campus life a lot easier as well.
So how many did you just have those two injuries?
No, so I had those two freshman, sophomore year. Senior year I ended up tearing my other ACL like game week of Michigan. So it was crazy. And that was like it was my senior. We ended up going to the college football playoffs that year. Mm-hmm. So that year it was a bummer because I didn't get to play. Yeah. But like the whole ride was just fun because like we went to the playoffs, so it was just like close games. Like we were a happy team. Like when you win it, it's a good season. My sophomore year when I got hurt, we went 4-8. So it was like I was hurt and we were losing every game, so it was just bad. But yeah. And then my 5th year, I dislocated my elbow and I had to miss 2 games. But that's like it's a wild image of that. If you ever see the image of it, it's crazy. But it's like my elbow went like like this way.
What was it like having to constantly like rehab and kind of come back from those setbacks?
In the moment, it was. I mean, obviously, it was hard just because like I feel like I've worked my entire life to get to this point. It's like to get to Notre Dame, and then thinking about it, it's like, dang, I was committed to Michigan. So thinking about like, dang, if I had stayed at Michigan with any of these injuries that happened, would I have been in a different situation? So it's like while I was in it, like a lot, like thinking a lot about that stuff, but. Once I started getting rolling and doing those things, because like unfortunately like it's a long season, other people get hurt as well, so it was there were times in the training room where we would just like compete with each other just as far as rehab and things like that. So there were ways the trainers and the staff and then just like other players who were injured made it fun, made it like worth going to. So but like once you're in it, it's like a new goal you kind of have, and so I feel like for me it's like I'm a determined guy, and so I feel like whenever I got on that path, like, because I had to accept it at some point. So it's like once I got over like that initial shock and I accepted it, it was just like, all right, let's go do it, let's get through it. And then after my freshman, it was just like confidence every time I got hurt, I guess. It was like freshman year I got hurt, came back, had a great few games till I got hurt again. And then I was like, all right, I know I can come back from one, so I can probably come back from another. And then it was like came back, played a full season, then I got hurt, and it was like, oh, I already did an ACL. So it's like, so that's kind of how I saw it once I got older. Yeah. And then, but like now it's a blessing. Like I ended up being able to stay long enough to earn a master's from Notre Dame and be named captain and go to another college football playoff. So it's like looking back on it, like those extra years and like that extra time, like I've learned a lot from it and gained a lot from it.
Yeah, I feel that. Like, I feel like most people in the world haven't had, like, a significant injury like that. I haven't either, but, like, I've had homies that have had ACLs and shit, and it just looks treacherous. Like, it just looks tough.
I mean, but I had an Achilles, and that's tough. I mean, just from the pain. Because with an ACL, it's like, after you tear your ACL, you can, like, walk and pretty much look pretty normal for real. Okay. And then you have surgery, and then you're probably down for, like, 4 weeks maybe, and then but like you back like at least like they put you in a brace, like trying to walk and things like that. So it's like after an ACL you're like pretty back, like you're up on your feet like pretty quick. But for an Achilles it was like because like just one false movement, like you can it's so fragile, the tendon. So it's like you just reconstructed it, but it goes from like a hard cast for like a month, then you got like the soft cast for like a month. And then it's like you can't even, this isn't even weight bearing. And then you go into the boot with like weight bearing. So that process is just a very like long time. Yeah. Because the tendon has to heal to a.
Yeah, that just all sounds awful. Is it true that your nickname was Golden Goose?
Yeah, Golden Mongoose. So my junior year, we were playing Michigan State at Michigan State, and like I'm a big Tyrann Mathieu fan, big like Peanut Tillman fan too, Chicago. So I was like, was my motivation towards like I feel like I've always been a playmaker and stuff. So those are like some of my favorite players, and like just like pregame, I always watch like some of their highlights. And Tyrann Mathieu was like big for forced fumbles. Peanut Tillman is like the king of it, and so I just always watch his videos, and then. And I'm like a smaller guy like Tyrann Mathieu, so the same like stature. And so like we played Michigan State, it was like late in the third quarter or something. We had a 2-touchdown score, and they were driving in, and their running back was like about to cross the goal line, and I like punched the ball out. he ended up like celebrating and ended up like jumping on the ball, touchback, we got the ball. So from that moment, it was just like play after play. Like, and I was just like making the game before, I ended up having like 2 picks and a fumble recovery.
Jeez.
So it was just like, and then like and then put that game on top of it. It was like, yo, we gotta like call you something. And so they just came up with Golden Mongoose, which is like tough.
Yeah.
Cause I had some coaches and like people call me Goose, which is like, I think like a tough nickname. So
yeah, I feel that. These are just random questions. I don't even know if I'll use these for the interview. What was your favorite stadium to play in?
It was probably the coolest stadium to play in was Georgia and Miami, because those were, I mean, obviously both were night games, like big time primetime games, so they were packed, they were loud, they got like the light show and all that stuff. But my favorite stadium is North Carolina. It's just so pretty there. Like the grass is clean. Well, I think they got turf now, but the grass is just like was clean cut. The blue is like it's just beautiful. And then I always had a good game there. I don't know why. So like my junior year, my Golden Mongoose year, it was I had like a couple like pass breakups, like TFLs, like a sack. It was just like a crazy game, and so I was like, dang, I like this place. So, and then we played there again my last year, so it was good.
Interesting. So after Notre Dame, you ended up signing with the Raiders for a bit.
Yeah.
How was that experience?
It was dope because it was like I had some friends from Notre Dame already out there, so it was like, all right, like it was cool to just go back and team up with them. I had one of my best friends lived out there, so it was cool to go like to train at his old high school and just to be in the city with him, get dinner and things like that. But the whole experience overall was great. I mean, obviously it's in Vegas, so there was a ton of things to do, a ton of great food. So coming from South Bend and coming from Cleveland, like the food obviously is just a lot better in Vegas, and so that aspect was great. Just being able to just like chill at the pool during the day, like get home from practice and like the pool is open, things like that, like at our team hotel. So we had all these things like just like at our disposal, which was cool. Obviously great talent on the team, some great receivers, some real cool dudes that I still talk to this day. But at the end of the day, it was a learning experience as far as just like the business in the NFL. But besides that, I mean, the opportunity was amazing.
How did that like UDFA process go? Was it like, did you have like was the Raiders like always kind of what you were set on, or was there multiple?
It was multiple, but it's they usually like contact you like towards the end of the draft and things like that, just to like let you know potential people, and then like once the draft is over, it's like teams call and like that's when they sign. From my instance, they called my agent, then my agent called me, then the team called me. Yeah. And so it went like that, like right after the draft. But it was, I mean, there were a couple teams. We kind of just looked at the roster, and then I felt that like I had a good possibility of making the Raiders, and that was like our decision, I guess, so to speak. But yeah.
So I'd imagine that your whole life you were like known as like an athlete, right? Was it a weird transition to go from like being known as that forever to like life without football? Like, how was that transition for you?
I mean, I feel like even right now it's still tough because it's like, in a sense that like people want to know you because you play football, you know, or want to be associated with you because you play football. But then it's also kind of cool because it's like, yo, he's really good at football. So it's like they notice like your skill level, which is dope because like, I mean, obviously something that you work hard on, you want people to recognize it, acknowledge it. So that from that aspect it's definitely cool, and it's a good feeling. But even now it's just kind of like, it's kind of cool because like I want to see the people who mess with me like outside of football. Yeah. And like and it's cool because like I get to meet like different people now. So like even me, I feel like I associated with football so much that it was like I didn't do things like this. I didn't like go meet people out in different like industries or anything. It was just like I was either like training, I was either around an athlete or wanted to be around an athlete, some type of sporting event. to where it's like I just missed out on like meeting other like interesting people. So it's been fun like right now because I get to just I don't honestly just reach out to anyone, get into like different things of that nature. Just I mean, football is still there, like the opportunity is still there. But I just think this just only just like adds to my like bag right now because it's just like I said, just meeting different people, getting different opportunities like this, and having the time. Like I never that was different because at first I didn't like it because I'm used to a schedule like whether it's like wake up, go to workouts, go to class, go to practice, or even with the Raiders, it's like wake up, go to practice, meetings all day, whatever. Towards like when I wasn't like doing anything, it was it's different. It's like no one's like really like I don't really have a set schedule to like to go do anything. I still got up on my own to go work out, but like after that, it was like I wanted some responsibilities. So which like led me to like get into like different things, like reach out to different people and just start to figure out different avenues.
All right, let's talk music for a second. Tell me, who are some of your favorite like rappers?
I feel like number one is probably YoungBoy, and then 2 Lil Baby, Future's up there, and Wiz for sure. Wiz is probably like Lil Wayne's probably like my all-time favorite, but like Wiz is like somebody that like I've been rocking with for the longest. Just like his whole, but for me it's like I rock like no matter what I'm gonna listen to his song just because I rock with his vibe, his lifestyle. Yeah. So that's like why I like I feel like Wiz gonna forever always be one of my favorites. But like at the moment, YoungBoy, I mean he's killing it. He really doesn't miss. Baby doesn't miss, and then Future just got bangers. So,
Nah, Wiz is one of my favorites. They're all great artists. Just I feel like our age group, like Wiz was kind of like pivotal, like when we were in high school. And shit.
He like made like a lot of things like cool. You know what I mean? It was like he made it like you could be anything you wanted to be. You know what I mean? And not like his music was just so uplifting to where it's like. It wasn't so like negative and like you know like the whole violence and whatever like most rap songs. Yeah. But it's like I mean obviously he talks about marijuana, but it's just like he's just like positive energy, positive vibes, and just seems like a good dude.
You mentioned Wayne.
Yeah. I just obviously just all the Carters and I mean I was talking to Griffin on the way here, like just listening to, because we played just Seeing Green with Nicki and Drake, and like he's still like a lot of people like say it's not the old Wayne and things like that, but I mean he's still great. Like when he hop on the track, like it's still crazy. So yeah, I definitely mess with Wayne.
July 2nd, 2011, you actually saw Lil Wayne in concert at the Blossom Music Center.
How do you remember that? Did I post something about that? That's actually wild. But yeah, I saw I probably had on like that was like his whole like Chuck Taylor's like era. So I definitely came with some camo shorts. So I definitely came probably in some. I think I still remember my outfit like a Pittsburgh Pirates hat maybe, or just a black and yellow hat. I think I had on a black tee with some cargo shorts and cargo shorts. That's wild. Camo cargo shorts too.
Oh man.
And some yellow Chucks, low top Chucks. So I was like a real like Wayne fan, you know.
You were waiting for him to play that Pittsburgh Steelers black and yellow song that he had at the time. You remember that?
The remix.
Oh, wait, no, that was Wiz.
That was Wiz.
Wayne had the
he had the green and yellow. He had the little remix.
Song.
Yeah, he had the remix. But I think that was like, what time was? I'm trying to think around what album that was.
I mean, 2011 Carter 4.
Yeah,
Carter 4 dropped, I think, 2011 or 2010. So, I saw that you just launched your new podcast, Varsity House. How did that get started?
So I was like pretty much just like thinking about getting it, like how can I still be involved in sports and like in an aspect where I can control it, to where it's like I'm not waiting on the team where they hire me and do things like, you know, like pick me up and things like that, to where it's like, how can I still be involved in sports where it's like I'm controlling the narrative, you know, I'm doing it at my own speed. And obviously like there are a lot, I mean obviously podcasts are big right now, but there's some like the Pivot, I Am Athlete, like some sports ones that I really rock with. Like even like I mess with the dudes from Full Send and like $1 million worth of games. So it's like just I like those are things that I just like watch when they come out and stuff. So I was just like, dang, like I feel like I got an audience already, and not even just like not me personally, but I just feel like I have connections to people who have an audience, and like that's who people really like want to see. I feel like most of the time, you're gonna click on the link or whatever, click on the show because of who you have on, you know. And so I was just started like brainstorming. I was like, all right, how can I like do this? And I was like, all right, let me do college athletes. Just because I want to give away too much game. I want nobody to, you know, just to jump on the wave. But how can like let me do college athletes, and then I know some pro athletes, but it's like it might be a little bit easier to get in front of these college athletes, you know, because they're up and coming, they have a story, and it's kind of like, and just kind of people really don't like care about it until they become a pro or until they make that game winning play and things like that. Then it's like, oh, you find out like I know there was a Browns running back like the fourth string. He ended up starting last year, and because of like COVID, I think the first three were down. And so he ended up starting, and he had like an amazing like great. I think he had rushed for like 200 yards and like 4 touchdowns or something like crazy. And then like his story started to come out, like what he's been through and all that type of stuff, to where it's like, if we could have got that message out in college, then maybe he could have capitalized on that on his own brand, helped out like his community or helped out people going through it at that time. So I was just thinking about, okay, like that's a reason to do college kids. They're still growing, so it's like, and they're at like a there's still, I feel like it's like a pivotal time for them, to where it's like it's not just football for you. Like you still have other obligations. Like you got family to worry about that you're away from. You got classes to worry about. You got, I mean, other things that are going on as like for any student. And you're still learning. You're still trying to find your way. So I've just felt like they will have great stories. And then so I started there. So I was like, all right, I'm gonna do college. And then I was like, dang, so how am I really get into this space? And I was like, who do people really want to hear that I know? And I was like, I know 3 head coaches at pretty big programs, Notre Dame, Vanderbilt, and LSU. So I'm thinking like, okay, like if I reach out to them, I thought it was a long shot. It's like I know I could get the players from Notre Dame. So I was like, I knew I was gonna do it. If it was just gonna be Notre Dame, it was just gonna be Notre Dame, because I knew like I was just playing with them, so I knew those guys and we're all friends. So I was like, I'm gonna get them for sure. But then it's like, all right, let me try reaching out to the head coach. Reached out to him. I said, hey, like I shot him a text like, hey, do you have time to get on the phone later? I want to talk about this idea I'm doing. Talk later that night, and he was like, of course. He was like, I would love to do that. He's like, let's get it going. Like, let's schedule it or whatever. So now I'm like, this is like 2 weeks before, and I'm like, okay, like I didn't brainstorm about it for like a month and a half. So now I'm like, okay, we like 2 weeks before. It's like I gotta do it, to where it's like the time is here. And so I drove, and I kind of wanted to make it cool, because like I said, Wiz is one of my favorite people. To where it's like, I can do it on Zoom, and which I'll still do some, like anytime I don't get a head coach, and that's just players, I'll just probably do a Zoom. Like I just did a Zoom one with some Michigan players. And so I was like, let me make it cool. Let me drive up there and let me like vlog it. Let me do the whole thing. And so like my whole like camera set and stuff that I have is perfect for like Zoom and all that stuff. So I was like, all right, we're just gonna go make it work. Like I think the content is more important than like the production. And I'll get the production one day, but I just felt like just people seeing me like go on this journey and want to do these things, I think it'll be cool enough. And so he responded, so we went out there, we shot it, and what gave me like the most like satisfaction really, which is perfect timing for this, because it just dropped yesterday, Varsity House podcast on YouTube. Subscribe, go get it, watch it. But the best thing about it was like maybe a few hours after it posted, I saw one of Notre Dame sports reporters like write an article about a player on it. So it wasn't necessarily about me, or the podcast really, it was about his story that he shared on the podcast. And so like, I mean, they gave me like the shout out, like they gave me the credit and all that stuff for it. But I was like, that was my ultimate goal right there. It wasn't, I didn't care. I don't care how many views it gets, whatever. It's just me. It's something I can relate to because it's like their adversity is something that I went through when I was in college. So to see like somebody just go up there and like and write that story and say like, because one of my homies he tore his ACL and he just his senior season, so he came back for his grad year and. He was just talking about how he battled through it, how he didn't want to play football anymore, and then like things changed around the facilities, and he ended up like wanting to play again. So it was just like that's just a huge story that people don't know, that they were probably never gonna know because he wasn't just probably gonna go record himself and talk. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it's like that's ultimately what I want the platform to be. And so when that happened, I was like, okay, this is my mission, this is my goal right here. And I think people will just get behind that. And so, but for me, the fun part is the vlog, honestly. Like how, I mean, Wiz is probably just made like his name.
His day-to-day.
Yeah. So it's like and like I rock with Wiz's and I rock with like Martin Garrix's day-to-days. And so like I've been like, I could literally sit at home and just watch day-to-days all the time. So it's like, okay, like that's the fun thing that I want to do. I want to show people like the inside stuff that we do, because it's like you see these people do things that obviously you don't have access to, and it's like, I mean, and it's in a fun way, it's pretty cool. So I'm thinking like, okay, like if I'm going to these universities, especially for me too, it's like all I know is Notre Dame, you know, like I've only seen Notre Dame's locker room like updated, I guess, except the recruiting trips, but I've only seen like Notre Dame stadium, I've only seen Notre Dame's equipment room, locker, like all those type of things, facilities. To where it's like, dang, like if I do take this on a road, like I get to go and tour other places. And so on the vlogs, you'll be able to see me go into like the equipment rooms, like go through things. And I got a workout in at Notre Dame, so you'll see the weight room. Things like that, to where it's like Pro Day was also that same time. So it was like I had like the access to Pro Day and just like things like that, to where it's like a normal fan would love to see that, but they don't get to see it. So it's like, go to the vlog, and then now you get to see all that stuff. It's like inside access or whatever. But yeah, so even when I went to Vandy and then I plan on going to like LSU, it's like these are places that I've like never seen. I don't know, it could be completely different from Notre Dame. So it was cool. Like I got to hang out with the team. They had a team outing at paintballing at Vandy, and so the coach was like, "You want to hop in?" So I was like, "Yeah." So I hopped in, played a couple paintball rounds with the Vandy team. Hit Broadway and things, so like things like that'll be cool, I think, on a vlog, like but it'll also see like inside access to these like facilities and stuff. Yeah,
absolutely. The telling the story portion of it, like helping people tell their stories, I love that too. Like obviously our worlds are a little bit different, but like music and sports are hand in hand. And for that to be the first episode too, and for like people to pick it up and write about it and help, was it Avery?
Yeah,
help Avery like, you know, tell his story, like as you continue to go and the production gets better and all that, like in 2-3 years, like you saw what fucking Pat McAfee did, like what Barstool does. Like, one I watch a lot is the Bustin' with the Boys one. Like that's a really cool one.
Yeah. They do the and I think they just went to Michigan.
They went to Michigan and to Nebraska.
Okay.
They do some cool ones.
Yeah.
I like shit like that. Yeah. And as obviously, are you gonna take it on the road, or are you ever gonna have like a setup location? Because I think there's benefits to both.
Yeah. So, I think this is just my plan for this fall. Is where, especially like college game day. Yeah. But I would keep it until like a Midwest thing, just because it's, I mean, traveling could get expensive.
Of course. Yeah.
So I would just probably do like the game of the week in the area, in the Midwest area or something like that. And then just hopefully like over the spring and the summer, like that's what I kind of wanted to start it now. It's like I can gain these relationships with players, and then be able in the fall, like we having like weekly, like, you know, like updates and stuff on like how was the last game for you guys, or how are you preparing this week and things like that, to where it's like becomes cool. And then the vlog is like that. Hopefully the vlog catches on, because it's like, oh, Varsity House is coming to town. You know what I mean? It's something like how people get excited for college game day coming to town. like similar to like we would come to town and like we show the places we eat and so on. So it's like I kind of want to make it like something like that to where it's like a cool experience. And then like at the end of the day we get to watch football and we get to but I don't want to just limit it to football. Like I do want to branch out and because I think female athletes, like I think they only get like 5% of media. It's something crazy like that. And so I think I initially, because I just being in the sports industry, like I know some people and want to get them on my podcast just to share their stories and then like just eventually like be able to just get them one, hand them over one. And so that's like the main goal that, I mean, like it's right now I'm just like, I'm grinding because I feel like it's like obtainable. Because it's like, there's so many people. I mean, and there needs to be platforms like this to tell their story. You know what I mean? Because it's hard for someone to get in front of like a camera and then be able like on their own. You know what I mean? Like post like a selfie video or something like that to where it's like if it's a platform that's already like laid out to where it's like my homie Myron was on the podcast as well. He was like, dude, I love that experience. Like, I mess with it. But, like, do I think he would have started his own and told his own story? No. So it's like being that bridge for people to be, like, get comfortable enough to where it's like, I mess with this and then, like, try to just look into starting their own. So I kind of want to be, like, that bridge and guide them into, like, starting their own.